In this section, we're going to be covering the different steps that you need to take to order the materials for your metal roof. Now, determining whether or not your roof is a good candidate for metal roofing is going to be largely a judgment call on your part. I can say that over the years we've installed metal roofing on all different types of roofs, from extremely steep to relatively flat, very simple to very complex. Metal roofing has been a good choice for us on a lot of different situations. You are going to be the best judge of your own competence in whether or not you're going to be able to install the metal on your roof. I will say that if your roof is extremely complex with a lot of different hips, valleys, and complex angles, it might not be the best choice for your first metal roof installation. Over the years, we've had great success installing this style of metal roofing on relatively flat roofs. Because we can custom order the metal to length, we can order one long piece. There'll be no horizontal breaks for water to get in. Now, as long as your roof has some amount of pitch and there's no places for standing water, it'll probably do pretty well with this style of metal roofing.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit subscribe so you can be a part of my channel. You can watch all my videos that cover complete stages of both shingle and metal roofing. There's tons more content coming out soon about all aspects of roofing, including skylights and trim and sheds and whatever you're interested in.
I will say that if your roof is both extremely flat and has a great deal of penetrations like pipes, chimneys, or details like valleys, it's probably a bad candidate for installing this type of metal roofing on. All right, so let's get down to the basics of ordering the materials for your roof. I'd recommend that you make a detailed diagram of your roof before you get started with your order. Over the years, I've learned that you can never have too many notes about what you need when you're putting your order together. This way, when your project is underway or when you're ordering the materials, you'll have something to refer back to help jog your memory. When you're up on the roof, I usually use a notebook like this to carry with me for the purpose of this video to make it a little more clear. I've got everything written out on the whiteboard here. You can see that I've got a detailed diagram of the roof. As we go along and measure things, we're going to fill in the different measurements of the different parts of the roof. I've also got a list of the different trim pieces that we'll need. Now, as we go along and measure off the roof, I'm going to keep a running total of the different lengths of the trim pieces that we need. That way, when we're all done, we can come back through, tally everything up, and see what we need to put in our order. There are a couple basics that I want you to keep in mind as you're putting your order together. For this style of roofing that we're going to be installing, always remember that the panel has 3 feet of total coverage when you're finished. Also remember that the trim that we order comes in standard 10-foot lengths. As far as determining the length of your panel, generally speaking, we want the panel to overhang the edge of the roof 1.5 to 2 inches total. I usually go with 1.5 inches if there are gutters on the house and 2 inches if there aren't gutters. Resist the urge to order your panel with way too big of an overhang because these areas are really vulnerable to wind getting up under the panel and ripping your roof off. All right, to start with, we're going to take our first measurement on this side of the roof that has a full-length panel. Now, if your shingles have a really good overhang, I'm usually just going to hook my tape on the end of the shingle and measure up to the ridge to determine the length of the panel. Always make sure, though, that the panel that you order is going to have 1.5 to 2 inches of overhang when you're finished. So in this case, the panel that I'm going to order for this side is going to be 56 inches long. Make sure to measure all the way up to the top edge of the ridge. Again, it's always better to have a panel that's too long than too short. If you have any excess, you can go ahead and cut it off when you're all finished. To determine how many panels I'm going to need, I'm going to measure the width of the roof and divide by 3 because the panels are 3 feet wide. If you're measuring off a roof that already has a 3-tab shingle on it, you're in luck and it's going to make your job a lot easier because all the tabs on the shingles are 1 foot wide. So you can just add up the number of tabs and that's going to give you the total footage of the width of the roof. Now that we've taken all the measurements on our roof and transferred them to our diagram, it's time to add everything up and get your order together. Now you can see that for the different trim pieces, when I was measuring things off on the roof, I made notes of the different lengths of all the different pieces that we need. For example, for the ridge cap, we need all these different individual lengths. To put the order together, you can add up all the different lengths and then divide by 10. Keep in mind that all the trim pieces come in standard 10-foot lengths, so those are the lengths you're going to need to order them in. Having too many trim pieces is much better than having too few trim pieces, so make sure to take this into account when you're putting your order together. There's always going to be a little bit of waste. You want to take that into consideration when you're putting your order together. If I add this up and I've got 39 feet of ridge cap, I'm going to go ahead and order 5 pieces because I know that there's going to be a little bit of waste and I'm going to need that extra piece before the job's done. One thing that you can think about too that's going to really help your roof come out good is that all these trim pieces can be made in custom lengths. Okay, so let's take this hip into consideration. If you've got a hip that's say 12 feet long, normally if you took the 10-foot section, you'd have then another little 2-foot section to finish that hip off. You can order a piece of ridge cap for that hip that's going to be 12 feet long. That's going to give you a real nice finished look on your roof because you don't have that break in the trim piece. For most applications of this metal roofing, I recommend using an 1.5-inch long hex head screw with this rubber gasket. We use screws that have 1/4-inch heads to go with and you'll need a 1/4-inch nut driver like we described in the tool section to apply it with. To figure out the number of screws that you'll need, you want to figure out first how many square feet of roofing you have. You can figure that out pretty easily once you've got your order together by taking all the different panels, adding up the lengths of all the panels together. So if you have 3 5-foot panels, that's 15 feet. You've got 2 panels at 10 feet, that's another 20 feet. Add up all the different lengths of the panels and then multiply that number times 3 because the panels are 3 feet wide. That's going to give you the total square foot of the roofing that you're going to install. To order the screws then, you're going to need about 1 screw for every square foot of roofing. As always, I'd recommend having a few too many screws on hand rather than not ordering enough and getting stuck on your last day on the job with too few screws. There are a few different ways that you can put your final order together. For areas of the roof like the back side of our model, where it's just one full-length sheet from the ridge to the eave, I always order the exact panel length. It's 14 feet 3 inches. I order as many 14 feet 3 inch pieces as we're going to need to finish the roof. For other areas of your roof that are more complex, you've got a couple different options when it comes to ordering the material. One thing that I've learned over the years is that if you have an extremely complex roof and you end up that your panel list has like 25 different panel lengths on it, I would strongly advise you to try to consolidate some of the different lengths of panels to make your order a little simpler. There's a couple good reasons for doing this. First of all, when your order shows up to the job site with 25 different lengths of panels, it's going to be really confusing for you and the people that are helping you with your roof to figure out exactly which panels you have, find a place to set all those different panels so that you can find them when you need them. If you consolidate your order, it's going to be a lot simpler when it goes to installing your roof. If you end up with a great many different panel lengths on your order, what you can do to consolidate them is take some of the panel lengths and bump them up to the next longest panel. Okay, you always want a longer panel rather than a shorter panel. So if I end up on my order with a 15, 14, and 13-foot panel lengths, I might just order all the 13 and 14-foot panel lengths as 15-foot panels. You might end up with a little more waste this way, but in my experience, it's better to have a little bit more waste than end up short of panels when you're trying to finish your project. And those are the basics of ordering materials for your new metal roof.
If you'd like the complete series for yourself on how to do shingle or metal roofing, you can go to my website, RoofingIntelligence.com, and there you can get a membership to either stream or you can get a DVD in the mail. It'll show you how to do all the steps for either of those types of roofing. Enjoy this video. Thanks so much for watching.